Hi guys, my name is Hal Steelman and I'm the founder of the Suddenly Solo website and book that are aimed at providing information and guidance to widowed and divorced mature men. When my wife passed away a few years ago, I realized that I had never lived alone when I was at high school. I lived at home. When I was in college, I lived in a dorm. When I was in the Army, I lived with 200 men in a barracks. And then when I finished college, I immediately got married. And then when my wife passed away, I realized that for the first time, I was totally on my own. I was suddenly solo. This is a photo I shot at a fundraiser that my wife was involved in raising money for American Cancer. And it was an kind of off-the-cuff shot, and I always liked it so much that I had a portrait painted done of it by her nephew, who was a professional portrait painter. And the two are my really some of my favorite mementos of my wife. When I went online to see if I could find some information that would help in guiding me in this new state of living, I found that there was very little available and virtually nothing for men, but there was a lot for women, generally written by other women for women. That didn't fill my needs, and so I decided to apply the techniques that I had used in my business life, and that was in market research. My entire business existence was devoted to understanding how people behave and what brings them to make certain kinds of decisions about anything from products to lifestyle. So I took the techniques that we and my company had applied on a world basis for very, very large companies and put them to work for the issues that I was currently dealing with, and that was really my new lifestyle. I worked with a group of experts, and between us, we provided and developed data from these sources that we could use to answer the kind of pertinent questions that are key to our understanding and behaving in a certain way. We've completed interviews with over 1,200 mature widowed and divorced men, interviews with over 600 mature widowed and divorced women. It's given us this enormous data bank so that we can answer these questions. We started to deal with a variety of issues, and that's what this website will be all about. The simple issues like did you change your beneficiaries in your insurance when you got divorced? Some issues are very complex, like how many times do you go out with a woman? Does she expect to date with you before she considers sex with you? We have that kind of information in our database, and hopefully as we pull out questions and issues coming from you and from us, we're going to be able to provide some understanding of what women and men are thinking and doing in this very new lifestyle. And from this, to be able to give you guidance that will be helpful in your finding a comfortable new world that you can live in. And I think back to that meeting of Humphrey Bogart and Claude Rains as they walk off in the last scene of Casablanca. And Bogart says to Claude Rains, "Louis, I think this may be the beginning of a beautiful friendship. I hope it is for all of us. Thanks very much."
over 50, what are they looking for?
The number one thing is honesty and straightforwardness and a sense of humor. Those are the primary things. When we did that, we thought appearance would come up high.
No.
Appearance was one of the lower ones, but sincerity, trustworthiness, good sense of humor, activity, those are the items that came up high.
No, women want to go out.
They want to do things.
They want to do things. They want to enjoy life.
And the man that is a
Couch potato?
okay,
No good, right? Women don't like that.
no, they want to be out there doing things. It doesn't mean that they're expecting to run around every night, but they want to be able to go out to dinner. They want to go to a show. In fact, one of the things we asked about was what are the things, if you are coupled, what are the things that you do as a couple? And the items that came up all over 60% were movies, shopping together,
Dinner?
dinner, and the fourth one was sex, have sex together. And that was as high as going to the movies. And these were all the important ingredients of the relationship.
Well, I would think that's the typical average middle-class person. This is what their lives are.
Yes, and that's who, listen, we just listened to Obama talk about the middle class,
right.
and that's the bulk of our population.
Yes, it's
And
the
that's
bulk
who
of
we're
our
talking.
population. I mean, I go to many, many charity events in Manhattan and in the Hamptons, and, you know, you're dealing with very affluent people, and their lifestyle is quite different from the middle-class person.
Right.
They go to charity events, they go to dinner parties, they go to art galleries, they go to the theater. So their life is a little bit different. But the average middle-class person, this is exactly what they do. They go to work every day. After work, they go out, you know, on a Friday or Saturday, they go out to dinner, they see a movie, and that's about it. I don't think, and then maybe they go shopping, like you said, and
they go
that's about
shopping.
it.
But these are all participatory activities. They want to be coupled and do things together. Again, from the research, the primary things that men were talking about, or why, in terms of why they want to get coupled, was they miss the closeness, they miss the sharing. That's the things. Yes, sex gets in there, but the most important things are really to have someone to come home to, someone to share experiences with. Those are the high points.
It's very important. I agree with you 100%. You know, I want my husband to share with me, you know, and enjoy. Like right now, we're sitting here with you. You're such a charming gentleman, and we're drinking a wonderful wine, and you live in a beautiful home. And I want my husband to share that experience. Am I wrong for that?
Not at all. Not at all. That's exactly as it should be. And I would hope at some point that I would have someone that I could share this experiences with as well.
You will. You kidding me? You're such a handsome man. You are such a handsome man. Well, you know, I'm sitting here and I'm really enjoying this conversation, and I want to know when you're going to come out with your next book. Suddenly Solo, but when you're coming up with the next book?
Well, actually, we have some discussions about that. And one thought, well, there are a couple of thoughts. One is to develop a version specifically for women, but as I say, there are a lot of books out there for women.
So it started out for just a man's book.
A man's book.
The women now are loving what you're doing, and you must be getting a lot of calls. You must be getting a lot of dates now. All these women must be after you.
No, so far I've managed to keep a fairly low profile, so they're not banging on my door with meatloaf yet.
That's funny. That's so funny. But there are definitely more women than there are men.
Yes, the ratios are very clear. At 25, the ratio of male-female ratio of singles is about 1 to 1. At 65, it's 4 to 1.
Wow.
It's very difficult for women to find a man because the numbers work against them. From the male point of view, the numbers work for them. They have the opportunity to. I hate to
A good man is hard to find.
Yeah, but they also have the opportunity to be more selective.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a negative way, because when I say selective, it's selective in the sense of finding somebody that they are comfortable with and is comfortable with them. Yeah.
That's the phrase that comes up over and over again, is being comfortable. And we, much to our surprise, mature men are not interested in dating the 35-year-old big boob blonde. That's not what they're interested in. They are more comfortable with a woman in their own age range where they already have a foundation of past experience. That's what's very key. And that's where they go. I'm not talking about the arm candy kind of thing, or the Hugh Hefner with his 23-year-old. But for most men of
they don't have anything in common with these young girls.
None at all.
I mean, the beautiful blonde, young brunette, whatever, redhead, whatever she is. If she's
the
20,
age. It's not the hair color.
if she's young, what do they have in common with these people?
She hasn't done anything. She hasn't lived.
Exactly.
But these are senior men. Most of them are in their 60s and 70s. They are frequently in very good health, active. Many are still working or retired or semi-retired, and yet they have these concerns. Can I perform? Can I do what I had been able to do? In fact,
Can I satisfy a woman, not just sexually, but just intellectually? Will she like me? Will she want to keep going out with me?
all of those are concerns, but they go both ways. Women have exactly the same concerns.
Of course.
And in fact, again,
Am I pretty enough? Will he think I'm young looking? Will he think I look too old?
We'll talk about that in a moment because we have some very interesting research on that. But that aspect of concern applies equally to men and women. And I think you may have seen from some of the questions that women are asking those questions.
Do I have to get a facelift? Right?
That's a big issue.
You know, a lot of women are worried. Well, Jean-Jacques Gabor always used to say, darlings, make your hair blonde. Men love blondes.
Jean-Jacques Gabor was
Did you ever meet her?
No, I've never met her, but Claro was one of our clients. And
Blondes have more fun?
That's a line that was developed by
an advertising campaign.
It was advertised by a very, very clever woman whose name I can't remember right now, though I have a picture of her in my eye, and she was not a particularly pretty or well-figured woman, and not a young woman. She was certainly, when she wrote that, she was probably in her late 40s, I would guess. But in truth, our research says that men prefer brunettes to blondes.
I've heard that.
Yeah,
I've heard
the
that.
number. If I ran inside, I'd get the.
I'd still rather be a blonde, darling.
That's a personal decision, and that's nothing wrong with that.
You're a fascinating man. Fascinating. Fascinating to want to write this book. Fascinating to want to help people with their lives. Yeah. I want you to tell my audience where we could go to find out more information about this book. Do you have a website where you could tell people to learn more about the book and where they can obtain it?
Right. The book is at the printer now, but it'll be sold primarily as an ebook. And that means going to our website, sundelysolo.org. Don't go to .com because you get a whole bunch of lawyers trying to convince you to get a divorce.
Darlings, more interviews, more restaurants, and more celebrities right here at Cognac's Corner Magazine and the LongIslandExchange.com. Pink champagne kisses.
Fancy dress to impress. One of a kind girl. It's been a Crybaby Productions, darlings.